Forgive us our debts. Forgiveness is our one great need. There was once a man who owed a king billions of dollars. Don't stop me if you've heard this one. It's worth hearing again. Well, the king called him in and demanded that he pay the debt, and if he couldn't, he'd be thrown in prison until he could. How much do you make in prison again? Yeah, obviously the man could not pay the debt, so do you know what the king did? He forgave the debt and let him go. I'm guessing you figured out who the characters are in Jesus' story. God is the king. We are the ones who owed an unpayable debt. Forgiveness is our greatest need. Everything else pales in comparison. So, what happened to the debt? The king took the loss. We can all relate with Barabbas. Do you remember Barabbas? He was a criminal that was on trial with Jesus and the two other criminals on the cross. So Barabbas is sitting in his cell, waiting to be crucified, when he hears the footsteps of the guard coming down the hall. He hears the key in the lock, and the door opens, and the guard comes in and says to him what God says to each one of us: you're free. Jesus is dying in your place. And just like that, Jesus took care of our greatest need. When we pray, forgive us our debts, Jesus' only response is, you're forgiven. So let's finish the story. This man who, like us, owed an unpayable debt, he went out and he found someone who owed him far less, and he began to choke that person. Well, the king found out about it, had him pulled in, and the king had him tortured and thrown in jail. And then Jesus speaks those haunting words: "This is how your Father in heaven will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother from your heart." Have you ever held on to the debt of sin that someone owes you, refusing to let go? Please don't misunderstand Jesus here. He's not making your forgiveness conditioned on how well you forgive others. He's just simply making the point: forgiven people forgive. That's just what they do. Do you struggle to forgive someone? Maybe you live with them. Maybe you go to school with them. Maybe you go to work with them. Please understand, there's a huge difference between struggling to forgive and refusing to forgive. Maybe you're having a hard time wrapping your heart around what your head already knows. This prayer is a prayer for strength to do just that. So where are you going to get the strength to forgive? Think of how you feel when you imagine yourself standing before God and hearing him say, you're free. Jesus is dying in your place. Now remember that the person who owes you that debt is standing right next to you. May that give you the strength to turn to them and say, you're free. I forgive you because Jesus forgave me.